All right, I feel like I've made it in life because M5 sitting in here in the air conditioning with the jet filtration running, and Martin from Alligator Window Tint is here in person live to do the M5 windshield. The rest of the car has something on it, I don't know what it is, but some sort of window tint that looks pretty decent, so we're gonna leave that alone. But I always do the full windshield. And so what we're gonna do is Xpel Prime XR Plus. I keep forgetting the name of this stuff. There's too many model numbers swirling around in my head, which is a heat rejecting or heat something. Yep. Heat reduction window film. So Martin's prepping the windshield. I'll interview him like I always do when we're in the car rolling. So let's get started. So you're mobile?
Yes.
You don't have a shop?
I don't.
What's the thought process there?
The general thought process behind it is not so much for window tinting. I just think the general market is going in a direction that people want things coming to them.
Yeah.
That being said, I basically tried to take what you would want in a brick and mortar shop. Like if you dropped this off, you'd want it to be computer cut, you'd want them to use a certain amount of film, you'd want their customer service and professionalism be at a certain level. I basically try to bring that to you. So inside my trailer, I've got my computer plotter, carry all my film with me. You don't have to make a decision beforehand to where it's like, oh, this is what I want, and I pre-cut the film. I bring it all with me, cut it after we discuss it, and then just install it from there, so that way you don't have to go anywhere, leave your car somewhere.
So that means you're gonna be sweating your nuts off most of the time?
Almost all of the time.
Okay.
Even in the winter.
So this is why you called me. Now I know why, because you get to work in the air conditioning.
It's a nice plus.
Yeah. So what are you putting on here? Is this baby shampoo or something?
That is what my solution is. I use the old industry standard Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo and water. Kind of with technologies that's come out, instead of using pump spray bottles, I use an air tank. So it's 4 gallons of water, some Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo. But the big reason that I like my air tank is it allows me to have 2 inline filters in it. So in my nozzle and in the line, I've got filters, and I use distilled water, so that way you don't kind of get any of the coagulation from the soap or any minerals left in the water.
Water spots.
That would be in the film.
Yeah. So what is that you just scrubbed with?
Just a scrubby pad that won't score the glass, just to kind of clean off any bugs or hard water spots. Just that way when I'm ironing out the film on the windshield, it doesn't catch on anything. It'll be totally clean.
So for those of you who have never seen window film done or window tint done, he's gonna cut it and shrink it on the exterior. So we're not putting the film on the outside. It'll eventually go on the inside. So if you cut us off, because this will probably be a 45-minute long video, you'll know what's going on here. So you're just prepping the glass nice and clean, so that way it's ready to cut and shrink the film on the exterior of the glass here. And then we'll do the same thing in the interior, which we'll show.
Correct, right before I...
So I'm interested. I've tried lots and lots of tints, but I haven't done Xpel. Haven't used their product. And they've been after me for a while to put it on the car, so we're doing it. And this happens to be the product you use?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exclusively. So, you know, I do that just that way people don't have to wonder. They can go to my website, go to my Facebook, and they know exactly what they're getting.
You got a dryer sheet?
Standard dryer sheet. What it does is I use a method called dry shrinking. And so once this window dries, I'll lay the film out, and the dryer sheet, the fabric softener, allows the tint to slide along the glass as I'm shrinking it. That way it doesn't stick to the glass, bind up, and kink as you're shrinking it.
Have you, I haven't coated this windshield yet, so that was kind of good. Have you done any kind of, when there's like, let's say Rain-X or some equivalent, does that cause problems for you?
It doesn't. If I've got a windshield that's got some sort of a coating, Rain-X never really a problem, but sometimes depending on the coating, it makes it even more resistant to things sticking. So then what I'll do is just use 2 or 3 of the dryer sheets and then less water. So that way more of the fabric softener sticks because the water's not making it bead off. I did a Hellcat yesterday that had a Modesta coating on the windshield. And just every ounce of water just straight off the windshield, almost like it was crazy.
Yeah.
So I just used far less water, far more fabric softener,
But
and I was able to get the job done.
It doesn't affect the window tint.
No.
Yeah, I could get used to this. You're gonna be, as long as you don't jack up this this tint, you're gonna be coming here like, I tend to get a lot of cars, so.
My favorite kind of client.
Yeah.
And this is just helping it dry off. Normally what I do when I arrive to someone's house, if I'm doing a windshield or a back window, I'll prep the outside like this, let it start drying while I'm cutting the film. Just kind of time management, but.
So even in Florida, this is not technically legal to tint your entire windshield?
It depends on who you ask. So if you read the Florida statute, it will say no reflective tint below the AS1 line.
Yeah.
However, if you ask any of the police around here, they'll tell you that the clear films, like what I'm installing on this, are fine.
Yeah.
So basically, the cops will tell you that the clear films are legal, but what's not gonna happen is Florida's not gonna go and rewrite their statutes and their laws just because window film technology is advanced.
Yep.
So technically a gray area.
Got it. Well, back in the old days, they were we didn't have 70, 80%, 90% films a long time ago. So back in the old days, I always had to pay cash for this kind of thing. It was all on the down, you know, keep it quiet kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, as long as you're not, like, I find that if you stay reasonable and you don't drive like an idiot, I've never been pulled over for window tint, ever.
Yeah.
And I've been tinting them since 2002, since I moved to Florida.
It's so hot here that,
Yeah.
you know, and then all the police
they have
tinted
illegal
cars
tint.
on their personals, so.
Yeah, and the cop cars are tinted illegally.
Well, law enforcement's not subject to window tint law, so.
Yeah, I got it.
I mean, the big reason they don't like it, or some police don't like it, is just because they can't see who's in the car, how many's in the car, what their hands are doing. So I always recommend, if you get pulled over, roll your windows down so he can see in the car.
Yep.
He can see what your hands are doing. Just kind of show him you're not the droids they're looking for.
I'm interested to see how you're going to do this with without all the gear. You know, without a big thing to cut it on in the. You going to take it out to the trailer? Is that how you're going to do it?
No, I'm just gonna...
You just cut it right here? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I want to see how you do this without any help.
Little tricky tricks.
So this piece of film you just put on, what does that cost? Like, not what you're charging for labor, but what if you screw that up? How much you out roughly? Is that like a $50 sheet of film there?
More than that.
Yeah. Your cost.
Yeah, my cost is higher than that. But you got it right about that. The whole roll is almost $1,000.
Got it. Yeah.
So, you know, it's how much can you get out of one roll? Did you mess anything up? You know, the car I did yesterday, I did twice because after the, you know, I did the final inspection, ironically with one of your Phoenix lights, and saw something I didn't like, took it off, replaced it.
Yeah.
You know, cost of doing business.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's so beneficial for you to take your time, do it right. Because when you get into this heat rejecting stuff, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Your cost. And then you got labor on top of it, and your truck, and your insurance, and all the other stuff that goes with it. I think that's the part that people forget.
Mm-hmm. There's a big difference between your material cost and business overhead.
So what is this retail? So what is this costing me to do?
Retail on this particular windshield would be $249. I have another heat rejection film that just doesn't quite block as much heat.
Yeah.
that I offer for $129, but you know, the best is gonna block more heat. And
right.
window film, the darkness of the window film has zero bearing on the price.
Yeah.
But the more heat you wanna reject, the more you're gonna pay.
Yeah, because this film costs you more than...
Exactly.
And it's a little harder to shrink too, isn't it?
It's no different on the shrinking. The films that are harder to shrink are flat glass films that have been converted to an automotive film. So you have to shrink.
Yeah.
Crystalline would be the one I was thinking of. Just more difficult to shrink, but a similar outcome. You know, they make a great product that's just, you know, reacts a little different.
If you were doing crystalline, we wouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah,
I don't like how it looks. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's a good film. I've not used it. I can't really speak on something I haven't personally had my hands on.
So you don't plot the windshield? It's easier to just cut it?
I don't. I use Xpel's computer cut software, and it'll have windshield patterns in it.
Yeah.
I just find for myself, I would rather shrink the whole windshield and just get all the glass covered and then cut where I'm gonna want it after it's formed, instead of try to roll this out on your windshield where the pattern's already cut and get it aligned. I'd rather just hand cut it. I feel like it's more accurate for a windshield.
When are they gonna make film that doesn't have to be shrunk, where you can just put it on?
You know, I think that just kind of defeats the properties of the film. So, you know, even though your windshield doesn't look like it's got curve, it has curve to it, and the film is flat. So you're always going to have to form the film to the glass that you're...
People have told me that 100 times, and I always forget. That's why. You're shrinking to the curve. You're conforming the film to the curve of the glass, not necessarily making it... The smaller part doesn't matter. It's the curvature that matters. So what you're squeegeeing on is actually, it's not the actual film. It's
correct. It's the liner.
That's the backer, the liner.
Yeah. So it's basically you've got the liner, the adhesive, and the film. So you're in essence shrinking it in the same way that it's going to go. So you'll basically peel off the liner, expose the adhesive, and then the glue will stick to the inside, and then your film's on the other side.
Okay. So it's technically, I guess it's upside down in this case, right?
Exactly, but then that way...
it's going to lay on the way it sits right now.
But if I'm scratching up like this with my hard card, it's only scratching the liner, not the actual film.
Got it.
So there's that, and then the fact that I really don't think you'd want me inside your M5 with a heat gun.
I've done worse.
Yeah, but I don't feel like burning any Alcantara today.
Wow, this shrinks easily.
It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that shrinks up real nicely. I've watched a lot of people tint my cars. You know, I don't like to sit in the back in the waiting room. I like to, even though I know I can be, people think I'm annoying, I don't know. I feel like I ask the right questions, but maybe not.
I tell people, you know, no matter where you get your windows tinted, whether you go to, you know, the shop that you've been using for the last, 10 cars that you've had, or you're trying out somewhere new, wherever's tinting your windows, you're gonna have to wait on it. So I just tell people to wait where it's comfortable for you, at your house, or if you've got a garage at your business like this.
Yeah. So how much do you hate it when people come and watch you do it?
Nah, doesn't bother me. It's, I know some people get bothered by it, and they'll tell you, no clients in the work bay area. For me, because I'm mobile and I'm oftentimes at your house.
Most people don't want to they don't care. Yeah.
Most people are curious. They've never seen it done because they've never been allowed in the work bay area.
Oh yeah.
And then on top of that, it's kind of hard to tell someone, hey, don't come out into your garage while I'm working on your property. Can't really. So a lot of people are more just curious than anything else about how it's installed, or, it's a big joke in the window tint community, like, it goes on the outside? Because if you've never seen it done, you watch this and you're like, I thought it went on the inside.
Dang, yeah, this is gonna be fast. You shrink that crystalline, you'll be here for a freaking hour and a half.
Because you got to shrink underneath it, do it in pockets.
Do it real slowly.
Well, that's also because, this film is expensive, but I mean, a friend of mine uses crystalline, and those rolls cost
Yeah.
a bunch.
Thousands.
And in my opinion, I think this blocks more heat. But, you know, talk to 5 different tinters, you'll get 10 different answers. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's...
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how I like this tint. I mean, a lot of tints, tint manufacturers, I don't know, they have a milky look to it.
And then what kind of sets this one apart from some of the ones that most people are familiar with? There's another brand that's very popular for one that's called Air Blue 80.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like this one over that because it's got more of a neutral tone.
Yeah, we'll see.
So
it's interesting because I'm a huge Air Blue 80. I mean, all my cars have Air Blue 80 on it, so we'll see. You'll know when next time you show up and I have another roll of film and I ask you to put that on, you'll know whether I like this or not. I just won't tell you. You'll just have to figure it out.
Well, I mean, it's a similar technology. It's, you know, the difference is whereas this has more of a neutral tone because the dye they put in it is not blue.
Yeah.
So that's where, you know.
Yeah, I don't really care about the blue. I just like I like how the clarity of it. My Suntech CIR on my GT3 has a very milky hue to it. So like when you look through, when the sun is shining and you look through it, it looks kind of milky. Same thing with like 3M Color Stable. Yeah, Crystalline has the kind of rainbow look to it.
It's because it's polarized.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other.
Well, you're mentioning all the big names in the, you know,
I've never
all
done.
the big dogs.
Yeah, I've never done. Was it Uber Optic? I've never done their film. Not so popular here on the East Coast.
Yeah, I haven't.
And there's all kinds of generics too.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of Reeboxes and things like that. And then, you know, within that, if you really want to go deep down the rabbit hole, you know, there's really only 2, you know, window film manufacturers for the most part in the country.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got Eastman that makes, you know, 3M and
Yeah.
Llumar and Suntech, and then you've got Gawari, and that's going to be global, and Johnson's, and I think Xpel, but I'm not 100%.
So we're gonna do, this will be a separate video, but we're gonna do the Corvette as well, and we're gonna do this same windshield, but then we're gonna do what is the 15% on the sides and back.
So on the Vet, we're gonna do the same level of film on the Vet all the way around.
Just dark.
So we're gonna put this on the windshield, and then on the sides we're gonna put the same heat rejection level, but in 15%.
Yeah, got it. Do most guys dry shrink? I don't know that I've ever seen it done this way. Maybe I have.
In my opinion, it's faster. A lot of the guys that wet shrink are old school, and they've just been doing it the way that works for them for so long that, you know, maybe they've tried it and it's just foreign to them, and they're like, hey, listen, I've been wet shrinking for 20 years. Why do I need to learn this new dry shrink thing?
Yeah.
The window tint school that I went to and now teach at, you know, we always teach dry shrink.
That was super fast.
So I'll let the windshield cool down, and one of the things that I do, especially when I'm doing windshields on nicer cars like this where you're worried about the water, is they call them soak ropes.
Yeah.
It's basically just a microfiber braided rope that you stuff between the windshield and the dash to collect all the water. And then because I'm a dork, I've got them in my colors, and then the one I'm using right now is in Xpel's colors. So
Smart. Gosh, you gotta be darn nimble to do this. This car's easy compared to some of them. I bet.
oh, like Camaros or your Vet windshield's gonna be a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
There's just so much angle to it.
Now, people be freaking out. X-Acto doesn't cut the glass.
Well, so it depends on what kind of knife. So these are stainless steel blades. You know, if you dig hard enough, it'll cut. It'll mar it, but
you're mainly scoring the film rather than
right.
trying to grind all the way down to the glass.
Right. There's certain blades that a lot of PPF guys will use that are carbon and not stainless because it's sharper. But all I'm trying to do is cut through the 2 mils of this film and go from there.
So this, because it'll be tucked up onto the black, it doesn't have to be, I mean, you have a real steady hand, but it doesn't have to be like ironclad precise. That's why.
Correct. The only cut that really you've got to make it 100% precise is if you're hand cutting the top edge here, because that's the one you'll see when you roll the window halfway down.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to be hidden.
So now you have to clean the interior windshield, right?
Correct.
So what do you recommend that clients, like let's say, is it possible that someone isn't as thorough as you, won't clean it well enough, or they don't really have a choice?
It's just what you do.
So I wouldn't have to worry about prepping and cleaning before I go get my window tinted?
Correct, because I don't care how clean you have it, I'm going to clean it, and then, so the way that I do it, I'm gonna clean this, and I'm not gonna squeegee it off and re-wet it until right before I put the film on. Mm-hmm. So that way there's minimal time between when it gets squeegeed dried off and when I put the film on. So there's less chance of dust contamination, because the ease of getting contamination in the film is just ridiculous, because I mean, as clean as this place is, it's still not a clean room. There's still dust in the air, and that's kind of what makes it difficult.
And the thing I think people need to keep in mind is that, your car is not like super fragile. So, don't stress out about someone putting a little muscle into it, at times.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people, watch my videos, assume that I'm nitpicking and I'm nervous, but I know, I do a lot of stuff myself, so I know what you have to do in order to get the job done.
Right.
Sometimes that means bending and breaking some crap,
Well, as far as bending and breaking some stuff, one of the things, some window tinters like to take door panels off, because if there's less things in the way, the easier the outcome is.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I do what's called two-staging, so I do the top, then the bottom, and then that way I do not take apart cars, because it's one thing if you've got a professional shop and you know how to take apart cars.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother thing if you're working on an M5 like this and you walk out to your garage and you see your door panel laying on the ground, you're probably not going to be real happy.
Yeah. I don't care. So you're just prepping, peeling the...
So what I'm doing is called a reverse roll. So I'm getting the water in between the film and the liner.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll it up on the outside and then unroll it on the inside. And then that way I'm not trying to carry it with two hands, get it in the car. It's the easier way to do it on a windshield, so that way you're less contamination. Nothing's gonna touch the glue to stick to it and
Got it.
such.
So if you weren't mobile, would you have this on the board? On the wall?
I
Still do it this
I
way?
have a mobile peel board that we'll see when I do the vet. Windshields, I pull it straight off the car.
Yeah, don't worry about wiping the paint. In other words, don't wipe the paint.
I was more just making it easy for him to see through the glass once I get going, so it doesn't have fabric softener all over it.
Yeah, this is my kind of work.
Mine too. This is the first time I've worked in air conditioning in 6 months.
Well, I'm glad I can. Glad I can make your life easier.
Making my day.
I get to sit in the back seat and relax.
I dare to ask what someone like you would do, trying to figure out the pickiness of this.
I would never. I don't have the skill set to do this kind of stuff. So this is your final clean, and then you're gonna spray it down again, aren't you?
Correct. But just the dust that's in some of these soap particles would make it look bad, so.
Yeah. Even with all these precautions, though, there's still gonna be some little.
I mean, it's
imperfections.
possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way. I've never had my windshield done where it was. It's just not. So I don't really.
People will tell you there's no tint job that's perfect, and you know, it's like I said, I'm not working in a vacuum as clean as this shop is.
Yeah. And my luck is always that the spot is always right where my eyeballs are. You know? Right.
Well, that's like I said, the one I redid the other day is because of just that.
Yeah. No alcohol necessary for window film, right?
Nope.
Unlike PPF. This is where having the towel and the little soap rope helps. As you
Correct.
push all that water out. It has to go somewhere.
Correct.
So when you're hustling, how many cars have you done in a day? What's your most you've ever done?
Most I've done is 5, and that's because I had a client that them and some family members and some neighbors all wanted done at once.
Yeah.
But typically I try to do 2 to 3, try to be 3 appointments in a day. Any more than that is tough for me just because of the drive time and how far some of my clients live from.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're in Lady Lake, but if my next client was in St. Cloud, it would it would significantly impact the amount I could do for the day.
Plus, most people don't do windshields.
A lot of people do. A lot of people don't advertise that they do it just because of the gray area.
Yeah.
But, you know, go into any tint shop that sells heat rejection film and, you know, they're going to try and talk you into one. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, being in Florida, I just believe in it so much. All right.
Gosh, you make it look so easy.
A lot of aggravation went into making it look
Yeah,
easy.
you're seeing the result, not the.
Yeah. Not the thousands of dollars of film I burned while I was learning.
Yeah. Next step of the M5 done. 47 steps to go.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do a more thorough full tint to the Corvette. So if you're interested in this kind of thing and you wanna see an entire car done from start to finish, we're gonna back this thing out and pull the Corvette in and do that from start to finish. So make sure to check that out. But yeah, M5 is taking shape. Another step in the rather long process of de-grandpaing it. So anyway, we'll catch you on the next one. Make sure to go check out Martin, Alligator Window Tint.
Yep.
Facebook, Instagram,
Facebook
website.
and Instagram and alligatorwindowtint.com.
So if you're anywhere in
Central Florida, really. I tell people anywhere from Sanford to St. Cloud,
Yeah.
but you know, for the right client, you got multiple cars at the same location, I'll drive a little further.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, brother.
No problem.
Catch you on the next one.